So Cruz Afrika believes Emtee sacrificed their friend for money and fame. Welcome to Conflict ZA. Let's dig in.
We're looking at a truly shocking claim from an artist named Cruz Afrika. It's a story about fame, about betrayal, and what he believes was the ultimate price his former friends paid for success. And there it is. That's the allegation at the absolute heart of this. Cruz Afrika is on record saying he believes his former friends, including the massive star Emtee, were involved in a human sacrifice to get famous. It is an unbelievable accusation, so we have to ask, what could possibly lead to this? Right, that's the big question here. This isn't just some rat beef that spun out of control. According to Cruz, this is about a friendship that completely fell apart, and in its place grew suspicion and accusations of the darkest kind imaginable. So let's trace the events that got us here. To really get why this feels like such a betrayal to Cruz, you have to understand how it all started. Because before the fame, before the money, before all the drama, they weren't just a crew. They were like a family chasing a dream together. Okay, so there are three main people you need to know about. You've got Cruz Afrika, an artist grinding to make his way. Then there's Emtee, the rapper who would eventually become a household name. And finally, their friend SK, a super talented producer who, Cruz says, was the glue that held them all together. In the beginning, these guys were inseparable. We're talking sharing meals, piling into a car to get to shows, really building something from nothing. They even worked together on the song Roll Up, but at first, it didn't really go anywhere. Then, Emtee signed a big record deal, re-released it, and boom, the song just blew up. And that massive success seems to be where things started to split. But the real breaking point, the moment it all shattered, was when their friend SK got incredibly sick and tragically passed away. For Cruz Afrika, the heartbreak of losing his friend was almost immediately pushed aside by this chilling suspicion. He started noticing behavior from his old crew around SK's death and funeral that just didn't sit right with him. He felt it wasn't just weird, it was damning. So what fueled these suspicions? Well, it was a bunch of specific things. First, he says they just vanished from the WhatsApp group that was set up to arrange the funeral. No explanation. Then, they apparently showed up to the funeral super late at night, stayed for just a minute without even talking to the family, and then left. And maybe the biggest thing for Cruz, later on when he asked them to pitch in to help support SK's kid, he says they refused. This, despite all the money they were making from the very music SK had helped them create. You can just feel the confusion and the pain in that. You know, he saw these actions as a complete betrayal of their friend, someone who was totally essential to their careers. For him, this wasn't just them being cold or selfish. He started to believe it was proof of something way, way darker going on behind the scenes. And this whole personal tragedy, this whole experience, it led Cruz to form this larger theory about the music industry itself. The way he sees it, every single artist who enters the game is faced with a choice, a crossroads between two completely different ways to get to the top. He basically breaks it down like this. You can take the long road, slowly and patiently build a real fan base over 5, maybe 10 years, or you can take a shortcut, a much, much faster way to get there, but one that comes with a heavy price. Think of it like this. The light path is taking the stairs. It's slow, it's hard work, it takes patience, but what you build is real. The dark path, that's the escalator. It shoots you right to the top, instant success. But the cost, according to Cruz, is literally selling your soul. And he doesn't mean that as a metaphor. He believes it's a real deal, a transaction that some artists make for fame. And get this, here's a detail from his story that is just chilling. He says this dark path isn't a one-and-done deal. He describes it as a contract that you have to keep renewing, which implies this ongoing commitment to whatever dark forces are involved. A debt that you can never really pay off. So, if you believe you're in an industry that's filled with these spiritual predators, how do you even navigate that? How do you protect yourself? For Cruz, he says his only defense is his faith. According to Cruz, the system is actually designed to wear you down. He alleges that this dark kingdom, as he calls it, will actively get in your way. They'll block sponsorships, stop deals, prevent your music from getting airplay, all to make you feel desperate. The goal is to make an artist feel so hopeless that they have no choice but to take that escalator, to make that dark deal. And that's his solution. For Cruz Afrika, the choice became crystal clear. Instead of selling his soul to the dark kingdom for a shot at fame, he decided to commit himself completely to his faith. He really frames it as a shield, something he absolutely needed in what he sees as a spiritual war for the souls of artists. In the end, Cruz Afrika's story, whether you believe every detail or not, really forces us to ask a bigger question. In our own lives, with our own ambitions, whether it's in art or business or anything else, how do we know where our line is? And how do we recognize that exact moment when a dream is just no longer worth the sacrifice?